PAWSitively Petland show right here on Iowa City's news and sports station, 800 KXIC. Good morning, Ron.
Good morning.
What are we talking about this week?
It is a Yorkie Sunday.
Yorkie Sunday.
Wait, I was trying to do this English thing, I think, or
And
a Scottish thing.
And I don't know where I
went. And you went, I don't know.
I went someplace. It's Yorkies.
Deep.
Deep. Let's just do it straight. It's Yorkie Day on the PAWSitively Petland show on KXIC.
We have a gaggle of Yorkies.
A gaggle, you say?
Yes.
Am
I using it? Which one's the correct one?
I don't know. Okay. I would say a litter.
We have a lot of litters of gaggles of Yorkies in the store. So come on in. If you are at all interested in Yorkies, this is going to be a show to listen to because we're going to review the Yorkie. Is that the right breed for you? Plus at Petland, we have a lot of different Yorkies that you can choose from. And so you really get to drill down to the one you like on that. And then we're going to talk about chewing that your dogs do. Why do they do that chewing? And then, because sometimes, it helps when you understand the reasoning behind chewing or whatever it is. And then you can go, oh, okay, I get it. Now I'm going to do more of that. Then we're going to go into Yak Cheese. If you have not tried this for your dog, you got to go get this, because to me, when I gave it to my dog years ago for the first time, it was like giving them ice cream. And I went, whoa, you really like that. Yeah, that's a little over the top.
Yak Cheese.
Yak Cheese.
So this is cheese from a yak?
From a yak.
Really? I didn't know that they produce cheese.
Well, they're a goat kind of family.
This is why I'm saying they more so be schooled on the different animals and different cheeses that are out there.
Chooses is plural for cheese.
Oh, good. We digress. But we are going to be talking Yorkies, Yak Cheese.
And chewing.
Why do dogs chew?
There's a multitude of reasons.
And you're going to tell us
We're going to tell us about that.
Do humans chew?
For a lot of the same reasons. And, that's what we'll find over and over again, that it's neat when you can apply what humans do to what dogs, so you can relate with it. I'm not like saying they're the same thing, but you do understand your dog a lot more when you go, oh, I get that same kind of a thing.
I'm not talking about chewing food. I'm saying, we all have our own little fidgety things, maybe biting your nails or chewing on a pen cap.
You're gonna relate so well on the chewing segment.
I used to chew on pencils a lot. I don't do so much anymore.
We're gonna have to discover why, and then we're gonna relate that to the dogs and say dogs have that same.
It's the PAWSitively Petland therapy session on Sunday mornings with Jerry. How about a little amazing pet story of the week? What do you say?
Sounds good.
It's time for the amazing pet story of the week.
Here is our amazing pet story of the week. It's about a dog named Bailey Boo. Bailey Boo is a golden retriever, a black lab, and a German Shepherd mix.
It's a nice trio.
She loves lollipops. One day she came with us. This is from an owner that was talking about Bailey Boo. She came with us in the SUV. We had to run into the store for something and left her in the SUV with it running. One of the kids had bought.
That's a no-no.
It is a huge no-no. Never do it with dogs and never do it with kids. But this was this one turned out okay. One of the kids had bought a bunch of these natural flavored strawberry suckers, and when they got back into the car, they hear this sucking and crunching noise from the back seat. The owner turned around and said, "Bailey Boo," and she popped her head up in the back seat with a sucker literally hanging out of her mouth, and the stick was sitting off to the side.
That's cute.
She was sucking on it. It was funny to see her with it hanging out of her mouth. She loves them now, and so they
loves them now.
they give her these natural flavored lollipops. But I'm sure that you have better treats. For your dog.
Well, you do bring up you're not supposed to feed your dog sugar, and the biggest reason is because of their teeth. Do you brush your dog's teeth? And I'm going to say most people don't, even though they have toothbrushes, they have paste, they have all sorts of stuff for them. But if you're not brushing their teeth, sugar is a bad thing because it's tooth decay. And just like if we didn't brush our teeth, we'd have premature tooth loss.
Well, nonetheless, it's
a cute story.
It's a cute story
with some lessons that we can draw on.
Hey, life's lessons. Don't leave your car running when there's a living creature in the vehicle, especially as we get into these summer months. I hate these stories about, not to go off on a bad tangent or anything like that, but don't leave your pets in the car when it's hot out. Well, the air conditioning's running. Oh, yeah. So don't leave your pets in the car, and don't feed your dog sugar.
Yes.
Life's lessons right here on the Positively Petland Show on 800 KXIC. So what breed are we talking about this week?
The Yorkshire Terrier. We're going to review that. Is it the right breed for you? It is a wonderfully cute story. You're going to actually want to have the web open and ready, or just remember to have the get that open and ready when you get back out of your car. It's a really wonderful story. And then we're going to talk about that chewing. Why does your dog chew? And then we're going to go into finally Yak Cheese.
That's all coming up on the Positively Petland Show right here on Iowa City's news and sports station, 800 KXIC and KXIC.com. Good morning. Check 1 2, check 1 2, check 1 2.
Yeah. So was that on during the last segment? It doesn't matter. I can't.
Five was on. Here, I just want to see. Check 1 2. Do you have audio now?
Yeah.
Nothing's changed. These are for the other headsets that are usually turned down, but it's 5 that feeds this.
So did you just turn that off momentarily?
Yes.
Okay. So there was only
I turned it off when I potted up the bed music. So the bed music should have been playing through.
And then our audio for the first segment. So we're all good there.
We should. Let's do this. 3, 2.
Do I talk over it right now?
No, wait, just 1 second. Okay, now go. It's the Positively Petland Show right here on 800 KXIC. Having some fun with Ron Solsrud from Petland in Iowa City, east side of Iowa City, right over near Lucky's in the Iowa City Marketplace. And we're always happy to have you in on Sunday mornings and doing the show. But we're going to be talking about the Yorkie this week. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is it the right breed for you?
Yes. So, as you're like, hey, we're going to add a dog to our family, or we've never had a dog before, and all that kind of stuff. So we can talk through it. And this one has, like our first segment, some life lessons, but these are more dog training kind of lessons that you'll want to, not if you don't have a Yorkie, you're going to like or enjoy or appreciate what we talk about towards the end of.
My parents had a Yorkie for years, and they are such a fun dog.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So then let's relate through that on this one. So here's some history. It seems odd that a dog prized around the world as the quintessential ladies' pet, all button eyes, silky hair, bows, and oh, so dainty. Wow, I like that. I did that well.
That's one heck of a description there in the AKC book.
Was created for the decidedly unglamorous job of, what do you think? What do you think they were designed for?
Glamorous job?
It ends up being unglamorous. What was the Yorkie originally designed to do?
Mole chaser.
Ooh, pretty close. Killing rats.
I wish I had said rats.
It's a ratter.
Rats.
But that is how the Yorkshire Terrier came to be. Although there are no firm records, the ancestors of this charming breed were likely a mix of Scottish and English terriers brought together when Scottish weavers immigrated into the Yorkshire area of England in mid-1800s. The weavers needed a dog to keep their factories free of vermin. To work in the looms, a dog had to be small in size and lethal on rats. There's a little Yorkie. It's funny because here you've got some experience with a Yorkie. Would you ever have thought it was a ratter?
No, not in any way. No.
But and we'll find that the Yorkie actually has changed a little bit over the years.
Yes.
Laborers did not have a lot of money to spend on feeding large animals. Which, first life lesson: if you are trying to cut, hey, I want a dog on all that kind of stuff. Smaller dogs do eat less, significantly less, and feeding a small dog is pretty economical, even if you feed the most premium of brands. Originally, these tiny dogs were known as broken-haired Scottish Terriers. That just doesn't have a ring to it.
Broken-haired? No.
And weighed about 14 pounds. See, well, I already know that that's a in the past thing because they're not 14 pounds. But those that like consistency, why do you like purebreds? Purebreds are more predictable than a mixed breed.
Well, we talked about that last week, that some of the breeds have changed over time, and certainly the Yorkie was a bigger dog once and now is a little bit smaller.
Right. And so every now and then that old history gene comes popping out and you get a bigger Yorkie. But
you're learning me.
Yes.
You're
not sure what that
you're teaching
means.
me. I'm being learned.
That learned it did. Around 1870, they became known as Yorkshire Terriers, and breeders stabilized the signature coat, a silky blue and tan cascade of shiny hair parted in the middle of the back. So it's a long-haired, non-shedding dog. By the late 19th century, Yorkies had made it to America and were exhibited at the Westminster Kennel Dog Show. Skipping forward a little bit, then in 1944, this is a nice history for Americans, Smokey came along. She was a tiny Yorkie, only about 7 inches tall, that somehow had been left in the jungles of New Guinea. Wow, that's a long ways away. Why was she over there? American GI William A. Wynne, W-Y-N-N-E, Wynne, adopted the little dog, and she accompanied him in his backpack all through the Pacific Theater, more than once saving his life. I wish I knew more about that. They don't talk about the life-saving things. After the war, Wynne wrote a book, Yorkie Doodle Dandy. I wonder where I can find those stories about this little angel from a foxhole. This unlikely war dog and the adorable photos of her sleeping in Wynne's helmet. Check it out on the web. Go WYNNE helmet in what, Yorkie or Yorkshire?
I just typed in Yorkie, and it is a cute picture.
Yeah, and you'll find it really classic black and white photo. Let's see. Wynne's helmet won American hearts. More interest came with a celebrity fancier movie star, Audrey Hepburn, and by 1960, Yorkies were on the way to becoming one of America's most popular dogs. Today, this bright little terrier is routinely in the top 10 in popularity, and in some cities, such as New York, have nudged the Labrador Retriever out of first place. The Golden Retriever and the nationwide and the Labrador Retriever are usually the top 2 still, but the Yorkie's gaining momentum. Some form and function. This is a little bit more about the behaviors and stuff now. Compact and sturdy. The coat is the breed's signature trait. It must be long and shiny, giving the appearance of a piece of silk and of distinctive colors. A metallic steel blue cascading from a part that starts at the back of the head and extends to the root of the tail. It's getting too detailed here. A Yorkie. Tell me about the color of your Yorkie.
Brownish with maybe, no?
It was gray. Oh, I say, yeah, gray. Brown around the paws and in the face a little bit.
Yeah.
And then what about the back? Do you remember that? How young were you when you had the Yorkie?
Probably 33.
Oh,
So just a few years ago, I thought it was more brown.
Gray on the back.
Okay.
That's that bullet silvery
I guess,
thing.
Okay. Now
What's interesting is Yorkshire Terrier. So go on our web right now, petlandiowacity.com, and you're going to see a black, brown face, and on a few of them, you'll start seeing that gray undertones come through. That's the way they start, is black with, and I think you're right on the brown. I think what you're remembering is that facial area.
Yeah, I guess.
And that's,
Okay.
And then as you go to the back, it becomes this steel gray kind of color.
Yep.
But at first, it's black.
Okay.
And then as they grow through that first year, the silver starts coming out. In fact, most Yorkies, you can see when they're puppies, you can already see the silver starting. It's kind of like the roots change, Another thing, and I don't think this book brings it out, is part the hair and look at the actual skin. What color do you think the skin is? It's different.
Since you brought it up, I would say black.
Blue.
Really?
It is a real pretty blue.
Really?
And it's just, like, whoa, I wouldn't have thought that. So that's another trait of Yorkies. Living with a Yorkie, although diminutive and delicate, Yorkies are spirited dogs, true to their working terrier roots. So terriers have energy. They do not seem to realize how small they are. Without strong leadership, they have a tendency to become bossy, especially if their owners allow them to get away with the naughty behaviors like yapping and pulling. That would never be acceptable in a large dog. So if a large dog, this is interesting. This is people behavior at this point. If it was a large dog, it would be to that yapping, it'd be a loud roof, and you would go, ooh, that is not going to cut it in this household because it's, it hurt my ears. Or if that large breed dog pulled, well, gosh, it'd pull you right over.
Mm-hmm.
With a smaller dog, we're more tolerant of it. So people will call small dogs yappy and bitey.
Okay.
It's only because we don't correct it. We correct it in the larger dogs, but we don't correct it in the smaller dogs because it's not as big of an issue at the early stages.
Mm-hmm.
But then, then you get used to it. Now your neighbor comes over and goes, oh, hey, how's, Chipper the Yorkie doing? And now Chipper is, 2 years old, and you open the door. You're used to it probably as an owner.
Right.
And you've kind of grown into it, where a neighbor sees the start. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I would never tolerate that. But you kind of get lulled into it because they're so small at the beginning, and you kind of get used to it. Not all of us. I never got used to it.
I was going to say, from talking to you over the weeks, I don't think that you would allow that.
So in our family, I'm the one that was sensitive to obviously the biting thing. I think most people kind of get that. Don't bite, not as a small. Do you know, this is our own animal control here in Iowa City. What do you think they report as the highest biting dog? Not the most damage causing, but the highest biting dog.
I'm going to have to go with the Yorkshire Terrier.
I'm going to diverge from our topic of the day.
Dang it!
And go to the Chihuahua.
I thought you were setting me up for success, and you just squashed
I just
me.
went, whoop.
Yeah, that was totally off.
The Chihuahua is, but it doesn't cause any real damage.
Yeah.
And so you don't really hear about it.
They're a feisty little dog, though.
But for the same reason what we're hearing, the Yorkie is. And the same reason, and you can go down the list, the miniature pincher. And the same reason, this is all behaviors that we go, oh, that's cute at the beginning. But then later on, kind of get lulled into accepting it, where we can train them just like a large dog to not do those things. And I think that's so important. So in my house, our little dogs they're not yippy barkers because we trained them not to bark. Did they kind of go in that way? Yes, but so will a big dog, and then you train them to not do that. That's a good topic in the future about how do you help your dog not bark, kind of a thing. Whether you have an old dog or a young dog, you can train an old dog a new trick and all that kind of stuff.
And we're going to be talking about it later on in the show about
chewing
and some of those nervous habits of dogs.
And so let's get back here. Yipping and pulling, that would be acceptable. And so that's where we go, all that yapping and pulling would never be acceptable in a larger dog. So we can do the same thing on a smaller dog, train them to not do that. It is imperative that the Yorkie owner gives the dog boundaries and solid training and a moderate amount of exercise. So let's pull that apart. Boundaries for dogs. So many times I hear about people talking about accidents or whatever in their house. And I go, you didn't set the boundaries for your dog.
We're talking about maybe rules rather than a geographical boundary.
I think it's both.
Okay.
And for children, we'll put boundaries, both geographical, you're not allowed to leave, or we'll lock a door or whatever it is that we set the boundary for our children. But for a dog, we don't so let's talk about geographical boundaries. So if we were to leave a child, which we are not going to do, in a house, and I'm talking a toddler, are we going to let the toddler wander around the house? I'm talking crawling or maybe a little bit of walking.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say no.
No, we're not.
Yes.
No. So why would we let our dog wander around our house? They were going to have the same issues. They're going to get into things. They're going to digest wrong things. They're going to maybe tear things apart. So it's interesting how we have allowed an animal to have wider boundaries within our own home than we would allow even our own child. And I'm sure a psychologist could pick that one apart, and that probably would be a very interesting discussion. But I just bring it out to say we need to give our dogs boundaries so that they are more manageable for ourselves and for people around us as well. So that's the boundaries, solid training. So getting to understand training, I don't think as a society we've quite caught on to training. I just bring out for instance, when a little dog, when the door is open, the doorbell rings and the door is open, what do little dogs do?
Run to the door
and
bark. Yip.
And get yippy. And what do we do?
Shoo the dog away. Oh, pick up the dog.
Yeah, we pick up the dog. So I gave a little nonverbal hint to him under the air, not over the air.
I was about ready to say thank you for that subtle cue of picking up the dog and helping me out a little bit.
So we just encouraged. So what did the dog get as a result of us picking it up?
A reward.
Attention. That's what it was looking for. And
comfort.
We were in a sense saying, thank you for barking when the door opened, but we didn't even realize that we were doing it. And that's where knowing a little bit more about, putting yourself in the dog's position when you do things is important. We can't speak English, or they can't speak English. We can. I think most of America can. We can't speak bark. They can't speak English. And so we have to, kind of relate with them at their level kind of thing. So solid training, and then a moderate amount of exercise. Now let's bring it down to the Yorkie. What's so cool about small dogs? For some of us, some other of us, this isn't a quality. I like a dog that gets all the exercise out in the house. I don't know why.
Sure.
It's just easier for me. And so I don't have to go walking on that cold day. I don't have to go out on the wintry or rainy day.
Compared to some other breeds where you have to run it out of them every day.
Yeah, it's drizzling all day and the dog is going crazy. Well, if you have a small dog, the dog is getting it out within the house. If you have a big dog, it's time to put the rain jacket on and get out there and let's go have some fun. And now for a bunch of us out there, you're like going, yeah, I dig that. That's me. Then you got the right dog.
Right.
If you got a large breed dog.
Yep.
And if that's not for you, you might be thinking about a smaller dog. So I like that point that they bring out. More here. They are great apartment dogs and a favorite among city dwellers because their size makes exercise a snap. A game of catch in the living room could easily tire a Yorkie out. And that's what we experience in our own home. We have two small dogs, a little miniature dachshund at 13 pounds and then a little Maltese poodle at 7 pounds. Both of which, man, we play catch about 10, 15 minutes in the house. Make sure you throw it down the stairs a couple of times. And then they come, down and then up. And then they're like, I can't do this anymore.
Well, even when you had the little puppies in a couple weeks ago, just running around the studio for 5 or 10 minutes, and all of a sudden he went back to his kennel, and he was absolutely wiped.
Yeah. So that's the benefit of a small dog. And again, if you're a big dog person and you like that exercise, that's great. That's the breed for you. So Yorkie's coat requires a good deal of daily attention to avoid mats and maintain the shine. As with all small dogs, it's important to pay attention to dental hygiene. Generally easy to care for. Yorkies have a long lifespan, on average 12 to 15 years. Gosh, there was a lot to talk about in that, but I think we're getting a little late in the show here. Do we need to move on?
I think we covered almost everything with the Yorkie. I think
there's just more life lessons.
Yeah.
This was the life lessons.
The life lessons episode of the Positively Petland show. But no, certainly a good overview of what the Yorkshire Terrier has to offer. And
it's small, so it's easier. Small poops and all that kind of stuff. So that makes cleanup easier out in the yard. In fact, large breed owners would say, why do you even bother picking it up? It's so small. And then eat less, so it's less expensive on the monthly budget. Does it require grooming because it is a non-shedding breed? So you're going to have to comb it out. I would prefer, this is where in our house we get in a little bit of a battle. I prefer total ease. Groomer every month. So now you got a short hair coat. If anything happens, you put them in the sink real quick, wash them down, and they're good to go. You towel dry and you're done. If you like it a little longer, there's just more maintenance. And if that's you, then that's great. You're going to have to use a little bit more conditioner. You're going to use the hair dryer and all that kind of stuff, brush it out on a daily basis, and keep that manageable. And then ease of exercise and all that. The Yorkshire Terrier is easy to get all worn out within the house on those cold, wintry or rainy days. And if you're not one to be an outdoorsy, not even for walks, maybe the Yorkshire Terrier is the right breed for you.
And you have oogles and oogles of Yorkshire Terriers at Petland.
So you got a lot to choose from. So you can literally get in there and go, I like this, I like that, whatever it is that you see in your little doggy, and fall in love.
Well, and you have those little play areas so you can get used to and kind of interview the dog, if you will, before you take him home.
And a Yorkshire Terrier, we learned, is going to interview you too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, are you worthy of me? That's what I want to know. Okay. Wait, that was a German accent.
No, not German. Not German. Yes. I don't know. I can't do an English
big
accent.
Brogue.
I'm
Scottish.
I can do.
I'll probably mix something up there even.
I can do Midwestern Iowa. That's what I do.
We do really well.
I think I do a fairly decent job.
But I think Midwest.
I just threw you completely off. And
I was going to go like all around us doing accents. I think that's classic Midwest.
Is it?
Yeah. So
because we talk. We talk so straight.
We're normal talking.
I can't remember where you're from.
Midwest. I'm all Midwestern states I've probably lived
Where were you born?
Minnesota.
Hennepin.
Yeah. County.
There you go. And now you're transplanted to Iowa, but you've been around.
Kansas, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana.
Keep going.
Roots are all from Wisconsin.
Okay.
So I kind of cover.
And now here you are. You're the owner with your wife of Petland in Iowa City.
For over 10 years.
It's the Positively Petland show every Sunday morning, 9 o'clock, right here on 800 KXIC. We've done a good overview as far as the Yorkshire Terrier is concerned. But what about some of these habits of dogs?
So the chewing on dogs, we're going to go briefly into that, and then we're going to talk about yak.
Yak cheese.
Yak cheese. No yakking on this show. So on the chewing, we're going to relate that to humans. And that's, you were starting to do that, I think, at the beginning of the show. So why do humans chew? Let's give a hint. Let's start with age. So at a young age.
Younger, maybe adolescent.
Let's go even further back.
Toddler, babies.
Why do babies? What do they?
Teething.
There we go. They're teething. Why are they teething?
Because their teeth are coming in.
Yeah. You didn't have to put it in the form of a question.
I'll take teething for 200 there, Ron.
So teething, as a puppy, they teeth just like we teeth. And then I say, and I think we might have even said this. Do you remember when you were younger, when you got something into, we were talking about it last week. when you got something towards the back of your teeth, this might have been more adolescence when the molars are coming in. It just felt good to clamp down on things.
Yeah.
We don't get to talk with those babies when they're crying and teething. Apparently that's painful. I don't remember that.
I don't either.
And so dogs have that same thing. They're teething, and so it's just their tendency, and it's probably that biological tendency to chew on things, and then that helps loosen the tooth to allow the mature teeth to come in. So teething is the first thing we experience with dogs. On why do they chew? So as a puppy, you want to have a lot of different chews, and that's actually going to be for all stages, a lot of different chews, because they're trying to find out what satisfies that need to chew. And as a baby, is it a soft little toy, i.e., or not your sock, but a soft toy? Or is it something harder, like the leg on your kitchen table? Well, wait, we don't want them to chew on that, so get a hard toy as a result. Or is it the end of that carpet rug, that throw rug that you have? Wait, a rope would simulate that, so you would get a rope to get them away from the rug itself.
And we talked about size also, on how maybe a bigger toy for a smaller dog would work a little bit better. Just some different sizes on how they're going to fit that inside their mouth.
So different textures and hardness, but then that size thing is huge, because now if you find that you go through things quickly, try to get a one, whatever it is. That way they can't get it to the back all the way where they're the strongest, and it's more towards the front. So that would be a benefit there. So we talked about the puppy, and then a variety of toys was beneficial. Now let's bring it a little longer down the path. So now let's call us teenagers or a little bit beyond. So is there anything, what do some of us chew even at that point? Brought this out earlier.
Chewing on a pen cap was probably something that I did in high school, either nervousness or boredom. Ding, 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 ding.
Yes. So there's that anxiety kind of thing and boredom kind of a thing. And then we're also negating just dogs have a natural tendency just to chew. That's just, they definitely more than we do. And so that's a natural tendency, but some of the tendencies or the thing that make them want to chew even more is boredom. So I'm in my kennel. Oh, well, let's get some toys in there rather than ripping apart my bed or chewing on, the cage kind of thing. Let's get some really attractive, safe toys that they can have in there while they're doing it. And then that anxiety thing, a lot of people will say, well, my dog is very anxious, and when I leave the house, it gets barky, cryy, and all that kind of stuff. Get some chews going for them, because that's the way they can get that out. I always say, if you hitting that topic of when I leave the house, that's an issue for you. Let your dog run. Play some catch in the house. If it's a small dog, go outside, run them out, get them all nice and worn out, then put them into the kennel with really good chews, attractive chews. Now, over time, your dog is going to learn to pacify itself through chewing. So let's bring that out. Learning. So what do we do with children when we put them to bed? Some of us
tie them down and
no. So if they're crying, what do some of us do?
Maybe rub their back of their head, rub their back.
Go to them and do things that pacify them.
Right.
What does the doctor tell us to do?
I don't remember.
Oh, our doctor
not do that?
Yeah, it says not to do that.
Okay.
And the reason here, I remember with Emily, first one, he goes, tell me about bedtime. How does Emily go to bed? I go, oh, it is the most wonderful experience. I go, that's daddy time. I rock her, and then I slowly sit down and lean back at your, she's starting to sleep and all that. And then I kind of lay there for about 20, 30 minutes. So it's getting a little longer. It's now 45 minutes. And then I get up really slowly and I tiptoe over to the crib and I put her down ever so gently. If she cries, I just put her back on my shoulder for a little bit. I am not allowing Emily. That's what he said.
Sure.
That's where I have this phrase that I don't think my wife appreciates. It's stop it. And that's what the doctor told us. He said, stop it. And I was like reprimanded. And that's why my wife doesn't like it when I say it either. And I don't either now, because then she lashes back, and that's not good either.
It's amazing what you're going to learn on the Positively Petland show.
If I say stop it, it's a bad thing.
Ron, how does that make you feel?
Not good when I get the lash back.
All right, rein it back in.
So stop it. The doctor told us, let Emily learn how to pacify herself.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it kind of interesting how we hear people talk about their dogs? My dog whines and I just don't like it, and I can't deal with that. And let your dog learn to pacify itself, and you're going to have a better behaviored dog.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can. So I went to that day. I asked the doctor if she cries for 10 minutes, or he goes, 10 minutes is not a big deal. Okay, 20 minutes. 20 minutes is getting a little longer. 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And he goes, okay, here's what you're going to do. If your baby crying for 30 minutes, you're going to go in there, you're going to lift her up, you're going to pat her on the back, you're going to put her back down and let her cry it out. She knows you're there. She knows life is okay. She needs to learn how to cry herself to sleep.
And the same with dogs.
Exactly. And we bring puppies home to our house sometimes for TV and radio. Sometimes it's just fun to have a puppy at home for a night, kind of thing. And what we have found, this is over 10 years, sometimes you got to let them cry themselves to sleep. And it's okay. It's just like we would with a baby. The doctors say that's okay. It's the same thing with dogs. And then they sleep. Holy cow. And they finally get through it. Emily had it a little later on in life. She cried for almost 6 hours. It was agony, because we would go in there and say, everything's okay. Life is good. She was rebutting because there was a new baby in the house.
Oh.
And it was at that time when we brought Andrew home that she was rebelling.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of that with my my oldest son's going to be 7 this month, and so sometimes you see the 2.5-year-old do something, and then then the 7-year-old does it, and it's like, no, wait a second,
no,
you shouldn't be doing that.
So we helped Emily, and we were quick to address that situation. And in Emily's case, we had to, we asked, what do we do? And you got to let her cry it out. You got to let her understand that her behavior, especially at this point, 3 or 4, was inappropriate. So we got to look at our dog and say, is it appropriate or is it inappropriate, kind of thing? Do I give a little pacifying from time to time to let the dog know everything's okay? But you don't want to encourage the dog either. If you go to a barking dog, it's training you at that point and saying, oh, if I bark, you're going to come to me. So you got to kind of seesaw to meet the needs of your household. And
once you figure that out, or the sooner that you figure it out, one point that you've always brought up is the more you are going to love that dog, the less that it is aggravating to you, and you can sit down and actually not accept those bad behaviors and get that dog trained the way that you want it.
You will love your dog more. And I learned that with Susie. It wasn't a chewing issue.
That's your problem dog, right?
Yeah, that's a child. Susie barked. She found her voice at 6, and we really quickly addressed it. And it was our kids like playing with the dog to the point of barking, and they then laughed, and then that encouraged her to, oh, this is good. We then had to turn the table on that one and saying, okay, no, barking at that level for that long is not good. And once we got it in the right direction, man, it was like an exhale. Oh, Susie, I love you so much more. Behave like in a more calm, non-barking way. I love the play, but the barking was just too much. So that's a good segue from chewing into yak cheese. Yak. Okay, so have you bought your dog yak yet? No, we're not talking about that stuff that comes out of the mouth. We're talking about the stuff that yak goats. I don't even know the whole thing, but there is yak cheese made in the Himalayas, and I believe it still is. If you buy yak cheese, I don't think anybody locally or in the States is really producing it.
I had never heard of it before, so I mean, it makes sense since it is a milk producing animal, but you just don't think about it as I've never known.
Yeah, and it's hardened, so it's a tougher, it's brittle. In fact,
have you had it?
Not tried it myself. You know, it's interesting.
I mean,
now I got to try it.
I would assume that it's edible for humans.
Yeah, it should. There is no reason why it shouldn't be. We're questioning it.
I'll let you figure that one out for next week.
So Yak Cheese is healthy for your dog. It's high in protein, some fats, so it's actually nutritious for your dog. It is like feeding your dog ice cream as far as their love for it. First time we brought it home, our dogs didn't chew it; they licked it. Callie, our dachshund, licked it for 3 days straight. At night she was in her bed and everything, and then when I went down to get her out and everything in the morning, okay, eat, potty, all that kind of stuff, sprinted to where she left the yak hardened cheese, and I mean, she then would lick it all day long. That lasted for how many licks does it take to eat eat a yak? It was about 3 days worth of licks.
Okay.
And then the second time she learned that if she chewed on it, it breaks off a little bit too. And so that one went a little quicker. And then after that, the newness weared off. That's something else to note. If your dog goes through something very quickly because they're so excited about it, the next time you bring it home, it's not as exciting. So it tends to last longer as well. So the Yak Cheese actually lasted for over a month on the next one. And so we just get them from time to time, mix it up. It's good nutrition for them, something different for them. And it's fun to watch them go after Yak Cheese because you see the joy in their response when they're going through, licking it or chewing it. They're like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. So if you haven't tried Yak Cheese with your dog, pick it up. We've got a whole basket full of different sizes for your dog. Pick the one that's best suited for you. Small ones for the small dogs, big ones for the big dogs. And that is Yak Cheese.
Yak Cheese. So we've covered Yorkshire Terrier. We've covered chewing. We've covered Yak Cheese. Any other final thoughts before we depart for another Sunday morning?
We're Petland of Iowa City. We're located at the Marketplace Mall. If you haven't bought your dog food from us, you'll love that we do buy 10, get one free over time. We track it for you in our computer, and so you don't have to cut anything or write anything down. And we have all those premium foods, a wide variety. So what is your biggest obstacle of getting a nicer food? Hey, if it's price, we've got some lower price premium foods. If you're into I want the thing ever, look at Origin on the web and then come on in and buy it, because that stuff is over the top premium, and it's really cool when you read about it. And then we have $5 nail trims in our store. Somebody was in the store yesterday. Really? $5? And I go, yep. Appointments? Nope. Just come on in. Bring your vaccination schedule. That's all we ask. Up to date on vaccinations. We'll get it done for you. And life is beautiful.
And your hours this week?
Sunday, we're open today at noon. We close at 6. All other days, Monday through Saturday, we're open at 10 a.m., closed at 9 p.m. But today, it's noon to 6.
And stop in and see the plethora of Yorkies.
Gaggle of plethora of Yorkies.
And a litter of them also, I heard?
Well, yeah.
A litter, an oogle, gaggle, pack of...
A lot
of Yorkies. Thanks, Ron. It's the Positively Petland Show, Sunday mornings right here on 800 KXIC. Join us next week to find out maybe what breed is right for you and other fine things that Petland has to offer. Thanks, Ron.
Thank you very much.
All right. Have a great Sunday.